Welcome to The Whole Pack, where we challenge black and white thinking and holistic pet care and dive into the controversial topics everyone's thinking about but nobody's saying out loud. I'm Sunny Gandera.
And I'm Melissa Sherman, and we are two holistic pet health practitioners here to prove that holistic care can include critical thinking, self-care, and yes, even Western medicine when needed. This is a judgment-free community we wish we'd had when we started our journey.
If you've ever finished a session and immediately questioned everything you just did, this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about imposter syndrome in the holistic pet space and why it doesn't go away just because you have experience. Does that sound familiar, Melissa? How does it show up for you? What is imposter syndrome?
It's unfortunately all too familiar for me. I mean, it plagued me, I think, in my corporate life, but it came with me in a different way. And I feel like imposter syndrome is, when you second guess yourself, when you start to ask yourself, like, I don't belong here, I don't know enough. Like, that's another thing, right? Like, do I know enough? Who am I to do this? Especially in intuitive work, you question yourself, or I'm having a bad day, or, I'm just questioning things.
Mm-hmm.
It just turns into this thing that kind of snowballs into, do I belong here, right?
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I want to just start by saying, like, if whoever's listening, if you felt like a fraud in this work or whatever you're doing, it's not strange, right? You're not uniquely unqualified. It's actually you're actually in really, really good company, as you're gonna listen to as we're talking. But for me, imposter syndrome isn't about whether you're actually good at what you do. It's a perception issue, right? It's that gap between what you know intellectually and what you feel in your gut when you're in the middle of a session or writing up a protocol. And I think it hits harder in work like ours because we're not fixing cars. We're working with living beings. We're asking people to trust us with their family members. And for me, I mean, I know for you too, it's a lot of emotional weight to carry. So it kind of shows up tenfold, I think. So for me, I spent over 20 years as a chef and a wine educator. I have some of the highest education in the world when it comes to wine, but I still felt like an imposter there. Like, I don't know this, And certainly, in this world, in the canine nutrition world and holistic pet space, I wasn't raised in this world. I didn't grow up around vets or breeders. I came to this because I lost Nacho. And, when I started out, I constantly felt like I was playing catch up, right? Like everyone else had a head start. Like I was somehow sneaking into a room I didn't belong to. And, that's strange because I'm a grown woman. I've had, decades of work experience. So my point of sharing this is it shows up for everyone. It's not just because you've just started out. So what I've learned is that feeling, that imposter syndrome feeling, it doesn't go away, but it doesn't have to stop you either, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I would say that it shows up. I mean, I'm not going to say it doesn't show up for men at all. It shows up more for women just because of the way most of us were raised to kind of, be, I don't know if submissive is the right word, but, you want to, like, a lot of us are people pleasers, and that's that was kind of in us. That's how we were raised. Right. Yeah. So it's natural for us to almost like second guess ourselves and not really have that confidence, especially if you're having a bad day. Like then you have that mood, that emotion that's in there that's kind of compounding that.
Yeah.
I think, the first time I really heard anything about this, do you remember the book Lean In? It was like really huge. It's not like back when it came out, that was like revolutionary for women to even talk about how things might be different for us. And that I was still in the corporate world there, but like hearing that women would look at a job listing, right? And they would see, two things on there that they couldn't do and they wouldn't apply. Where a man would see one thing on there and be like, I can do this, right? Yeah. So that like difference, we carry that with us when we're working with animals, right? Like that perception that I'm not qualified because I'm not perfect.
Right.
But that's doing a disservice to yourself, to the world, because we we are qualified. I mean,
Absolutely.
Sunny and I, we can say we've done a lot of training and studying and education and years.
Mm.
We're qualified. We can be here. So remind yourself that, right?
Yeah, and it's funny, like we're talking about women, I see so many women and colleagues and myself too. I used to say this constantly, like, I'll take on that client once I've finished this next certification, right? I'll raise my prices after I've worked with like 10 more dogs, or I'll pitch that vet partnership, when I feel more confident. But ready is like a moving target, I think, right? I mean, if you're waiting to feel ready, you'll be waiting forever, because we don't ever feel ready. You don't feel ready and then take action, right? You take action and then start to feel ready. I've many times, done that, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to say no, and I'm going to look like an idiot. And then boom, it works out. I was like, oh my gosh, I conquered my fear and I did it. And that's how you become ready. So that's another point I just really want to share, like, don't wait to be perfect, because none of us are, right?
And I think interesting point, you mentioned fear. That's really what imposter syndrome is, right? It's that fear voice in the back of your mind that you're not good enough to be here, that you're not qualified enough to be here. And those fear voices. Like, we can get stuck in that loop, where we have to just take that voice and tell it to go away. Like,
Yeah.
it's not true. I don't believe you. Like, you can say that all day to me, but I'm not going to accept that.
Right.
And that's a practice, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to do that the first time you try it, but over time you can get that voice to just go away.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for those of you who are still like, I think most of the listeners know what imposter syndrome is, because I think we all kind of are, we have it at some point. But, another way it shows up, that came up for me, was the whole over preparing and undercharging. That was me in the beginning. So I spent so much time on a single client report because I was afraid if it wasn't enough, or it wasn't thorough enough, or I wasn't charging what I should, because, like, who am I to ask for that? I just started, right? And so
Yeah.
over preparation is, I heard someone say that over preparation is often just, speaking of fear dressed up as professionalism. And
Yeah.
undercharging, that's imposter syndrome's favorite trick, right? Like, you're not worth it yet. Prove yourself first. And I had that moment where I was like, I have to prove myself. I'm like, I don't got SHIT to prove, because
Right.
I am a grown woman. Like, I have 3 decades, like I said before. I don't have anything to prove. And just because I don't have, so much experience in this specific industry, I have tons of life experience. I have tons of business experience. And honestly, it's the same thing. We go into it with, we're basically, we have so much to offer. But I think that us women, we always are constantly trying to prove ourselves. And that I want everyone to shed that, like, you are enough, enough. You don't need another certification. You don't need anything. You just need to go out and help animals and just believe in yourself.
I love that. I
Yeah.
mean, that's inspiring. It's, we tend to doubt ourselves, and what you were saying about over preparing, it's another form of procrastination. It's a different angle of it, right? Because you're almost stalling. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like I've been working on a landing page all morning, and well, it's not perfect. Yeah. It's like but I've been spending hours trying to perfect it, and I don't like these words. And I had to pull myself away from it because, hold on a second. Why am I doubting all of this? Like, I spent good time, clear headed, wrote it all out, started plugging it in. And then when I see it, I'm questioning, is this good enough?
Yeah.
So then my brain starts making all these little things like, I don't like that one word. And it's like, you know what? I don't know if it's like, it's not that granular. People are not looking
Yeah.
at it like that.
Exactly.
Like, yes, you want it to be good. Yes, you want it to be professional. But like, when you're over perfecting things, ask yourself what's driving that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it is fear. A lot of times it is imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's what it is. Who am I to put this landing page out there?
Yeah, and I often see, like, I used to be guilty of this. I was like stalling myself because I had to have everything in place, right? And then I saw someone else and I was like, she doesn't know what she's talking about. I'm thinking to myself, right? Just like that. I mean, she's sharing something so simple and people are like, oh my gosh. But you know what? Then I thought, shut up, Sonny. She's out there. She's like killing it and crushing it and sharing what she knows. That's so inspiring. She may not be perfect, but people are relating. And, there have been moments where I'm on a call with a client, right? A little voice in my head, like, do you even know what you're talking about? And then I see the client's like, wow, I didn't know that. And taking notes, this was so useful. And so, because we often think that, oh, we don't know, or like everybody probably knows this. I have nothing to offer, or I have nothing new to offer, right? But as we've talked, I know you and I have talked about that, is that even though we're sharing something similar, it may land differently for each person, right? So someone may have said, I've heard that before, but the way you put it, I really now it connected with me. Kind of like reading self-development books. They're all the same, they share the same thing, but they
Yeah.
just have different language, right? And so some may relate to some and others, and you just have to find your crew, right, that really relate to your voice. It's not always about knowing more or something different. It's about really connecting and relating to that person.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah. And a lot of us came into this work after years of being taught not to trust ourselves. And now we're in a role where trusting ourselves is the work. It's,
Yeah.
it's us. We're not leaning on anybody else. So,
Hmm.
it's so important to work on that, trusting yourself, knowing that you're enough.
Yeah, something that came up for me also when I heard, about that, like, so we have to trust ourselves, is that we often tend to put others on a pedestal, like they know so much more and they're perfect. And then you realize, no, they're just regular people like you and I. And I have a background working with celebrities, and I certainly was exposed to that.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, this person is so amazing," and then you like see the backside of things, and you're like, no." I mean,
Yeah.
we're all just trying to like live our lives and to the best of our abilities. So if I could give another nugget, it's like, don't put anyone on a pedestal. That doesn't mean that we don't have things to learn from others, but it doesn't mean that you know nothing and everyone else knows everything, and that can sometimes be like a rat hole we can fall into, right?
Yeah. We're
So
all human, and it's
yeah.
remembering that we're all human.
Hmm.
'Cause even the people that, maybe once you would have put on a pedestal, and that's why they fell from that pedestal because their humanity came out, and you remember
Hmm.
they are human. And the same thing for you too. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had this, but like with social media where people are like, oh my gosh, you have it all together, but you have admitted something to them that makes you real. Like my dog
Mm.
just got really sick downstairs and I had to clean it up before we even started recording this episode. People
Mm.
are like, your dog throws up?
Right.
Like that's the thing too, like we're all human,
Yeah,
right? Like we
absolutely.
our dogs are our dogs, and they have things that happen too. It's not, we're not living these perfect lives, we're living human lives.
Yeah, and that's great because I
It
think
is
that
great.
that's what people want. They want to be able to have someone to relate to. So, and that takes a lot of guts too, to like, because, initially you want to look perfect to everyone, right? Because like, how are they going to hire me if they think, my dog threw up, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but then the fact is that happens to every single person, and we just deal with it. But so now that we know what imposter syndrome is and how it shows up, like what are we going to do about it? Do you have any nuggets for us on that, or
You
what you use
know,
yourself maybe?
yeah, I would say for myself is really working on that, what's driving that fear.
Mm.
So through some of the energy work that I've done, there's this, you can walk, take a walk. Take a walk with it and look at the end of, I'm
Mm.
going to use my landing page, for example.
Right.
So what is holding me back? What things are coming up that maybe, I don't want to say like negative, positive, but what things, when I feel it in my body, I get anxiety, right? Like what things about this landing page are scaring me?
Mm.
And I'll walk with that, and I'll take a step and name that thing. So, it could just be, it's ugly. It doesn't have good enough information. So each time you take a step, say those things that are holding you back. What are those negative things?
Mm.
And keep walking until you have nothing else to say. Now you've released those thoughts. And then just sit there with yourself. Feel in your body. Now I'm going to think of this landing page. Okay. All right, now this landing page feels good. Like I don't have those barriers anymore, those beliefs that that imposter syndrome, that it's not good enough. I'm not good enough to put this out there. So there's a lot of different little practices that you can do. That's just one of them I really like, because it's the movement of it. And for me, movement, naming things, calling it out, getting it out of my body, it releases it. I hold a lot of the fear, the anxiety in my stomach. So I can feel it knot up. I can feel my chest tighten. When I start to feel all of that stuff relax, I'm good. Now I know that moment has passed. And when I say moment, it could be an hour. It doesn't have to necessarily be like, okay, I'm done with it. Like, sometimes it is work for me to work through those beliefs that I've put in my head overnight when I'm not sleeping, right? Like,
Sure, absolutely. No, but that's really good that you're in touch with your body like that, because I feel like we all hold so much and we just forget to breathe. We forget to, like you said, move. We freeze up. And another thing is that another business coach of mine one time, when I was like all in my head about imposter syndrome and fear, and there's like, listen, Sonny, it's not about you. Like, you have to switch. It's kind of like putting the beamers off of yourself on stage onto the audience, and think about who you're helping, like your landing page. What is that going to do? It's going to get more people to know about your offer and get inspired to want to like connect with you, right? So it's not about being perfect and having the perfect fonts and the this and that. And like you said, you want to be professional, but it's really about thinking about the bigger picture, right? And so that helped me a lot. But I think that, I mean, I don't think you eliminate imposter syndrome. You have to just coexist with it. Kind of like what you were saying, like take a breath and just kind of like, get in tune with yourself. And because I don't think it ever fully goes away. And I'm literally in the middle of a TCVM, traditional Chinese veterinary medicine training right now, and it's really humbling. I'm still learning. There's so much to learn, and just every day I get exposed to something and I'm like, I don't know anything. But sometimes I'm still figuring it out as I go, because I am, and we all are, right? We don't know everything. So if you can think about that, the goal isn't really to feel confident all the time, it's to show up, regardless of how you feel. I think that's what we just have to push ourselves to do.
Right. And then there's, you can build evidence through action too. So one thing that I did, I know earlier on, but I still have this, I still lean on it. So I'll look at reviews, like I have Google reviews, Facebook reviews. I'll read those. I also have a folder of emails. I have texts that clients have sent me that, like, they're not public, but an email, like if I'm having a day where I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
Right.
I'll look at those, and it usually doesn't take too many to remember, like, these lives were impacted positively. And it doesn't, sometimes we get caught up and it feels like we're not moving forward on something. But if we look back at our notes too, we can say, oh my gosh, like, this dog hasn't had diarrhea in 3 weeks, and they had diarrhea every day for 6 years.
Wow.
But yes, maybe on the end of 3 weeks they had diarrhea again. But to remind yourself that they actually had 3 weeks where they didn't have diarrhea. Like, so keep looking at your notes, things that are positive, things that are wins. Keep that somewhere. That if you're having a day where you're like, I don't know why I'm here.
Right.
I'm going to go get a corporate job. Don't do that. Don't run back to that. Trust me. You're going to regret that. So have that folder, whether it's digital or it's printed, and like sit with that. Remember what those, those positive things, those wins, because that will help you. That is evidence that something that you did had a positive impact, and you are doing something positive.
For sure. I mean, like you said, it's evidence, it's real, someone actually told you that that's what their experience of working with you was. And that's not to be like braggy, like, look what I did, because we tend to like not think about I'll have 9 out of 10 positive reviews, but I'll focus on the one that wasn't. And that's very like personal. And that's not personal to me. I think we all do that.
Oh, that's pretty universal. Yeah.
We talked about that earlier. And, I think that imposter syndrome also feeds on vagueness, right? Like the more specific evidence you can collect that you are doing something good, the harder it is for that voice in your head to make its case, right? So I think that's a brilliant suggestion to do. And everyone should do that because everyone
Yeah.
has some positive experience with people and it makes you feel so good. And it reminds you, this is why I do what I do. This is why I get up on the days when I don't feel like getting out of bed because I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so hard, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
even the little wins, like I'm going to say this is a little win because you could dismiss this really easily, but an email or a text that says, like, I feel like I can breathe again, it sounds like, oh, that's so nice. But,
Mm.
like, if you sit there and think about that, if you've ever been in that situation with your animal and you're so afraid and you've, like, been holding your breath for years,
Mm.
that's huge. So, like, even the little ones that may seem like, that's nice, that's huge. So,
Yeah.
like, little wins, big wins, it doesn't have to be, right? Like, everything's better, everything's 100%. It just,
Right.
every little thing that's good.
Yeah.
And the negative things, like, I don't know, burn them.
Yeah. Seriously.
Blow them off into the wind. They don't
Yeah.
need to stay with you because we're not for everybody. That's
Right.
the thing we have to remember too. So there's something about that too. If you do get a negative review, don't let it derail everything. Like our chemistry isn't always meant for everybody.
Right. I mean, even the Pope gets bad reviews now, right? So,
Right.
it's like we have to think about that. Like you said, we're not everybody's cup of tea. And so, I just think that, we have to build that trust in ourselves and just know that we are going to connect with the right people that need us. And then there's other people that, you know what, they're not going to connect with us. They're going to find someone else. And what I want to say, and that's relating to all that we've been talking about in the podcast episodes, that there's something for everybody. The world is big enough. There's plenty for all of us. Find your niche and show up. And, this is like, we can read all the personal development books in the world, but you have to show up and you have to do it. And that's scary. But you build, by doing the work, over and over again, even when you're scared, as I was sharing before. Like, I've reached out to people for collaborations and some are like not available for it. Is that a reflection of me? No, but it probably was the universe saying, no, this is not a match. And then you move on, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly it. That's the best way to look at it. Is it wasn't a match. You don't have to know why. It just wasn't a match. Don't take it personally. It doesn't mean that you're not qualified. It's just it wasn't right for
Yeah.
you, for them, for either. It could be both.
Yeah. And we certainly don't want to sound like we have it all figured out. Just go and do it. It's easy because honestly, sometimes the doubt still wins with me on days but the thing is I keep showing up anyway because what is the alternative? It's to go back to a corporate job? I don't think so. So like this is my one I have no plan B. So like what's your option is to keep showing up and that is probably something everyone has heard is like the only way to lose is to quit, right? So we learn from every mistake, we just keep showing up, and the imposter syndrome is going to be less and less the more in action you are. And I think that's the most important thing.
I agree. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I guess we've been talking about, I don't know if you wanted to share any more personal stories about it, how it showed up for you, but was there something that you wish someone had told you earlier on about this whole scenario of imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I think earlier on, I wish I had the tools to work through those thoughts, work through those feelings, because that was the hardest thing, I think. When I learned those tools, it made it a lot easier. It didn't feel like, because imposter syndrome, it would take me out for days. And then it's almost like I went from this like hyper perfection to I'm such a loser, I can't do anything. And it was just like this up and down where now, again, I mean, I just said I had imposter syndrome this morning. Like, who am I to do this landing page? Like, but like, it's not with me, right? Like, I moved through it. I have a couple more things to do on it, but there's like nothing holding me back other than technical things. So it's not the page is written, it's ready. So it's kind of like, I'll still acknowledge it when it shows up. I wish someone just said that, like, don't try to push it down, because that's the thing I think I was trying to do initially was like, shh, go away. But it doesn't. It starts to get louder and louder until like something pops up and proves that your fear was right?
Yeah.
Now you're looking for those things. So again, I wish that I had known to like change my perception, to focus on something else, to look at other things. Even if you're a brand new practitioner, you don't have reviews, you don't have any of that, find something that is positive, whatever that is for you.
Yeah,
Hold that.
sometimes you just give free advice to someone and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I implemented what you said and it's amazing."
Yeah.
You know, like that's
Write it
something.
down. Yeah. If it's
Yeah.
not, if it like, write that down, write down the date, write the name of the animal and the
Hmm.
person. Like, they'll start to add up over time. And
For sure.
when you start to see how many people you're just able to help, like, even with little things,
Yeah.
that's what we're here for. That's what we want to do. We want to serve people. We want to support people. So look
Mm.
for those little wins.
Absolutely.
And how about you? Is there anything that you wished that you had been told earlier on?
You know, it's just a couple of things. That I wish someone had told me that doubt isn't like disqualifying, right? I mean, the people who never doubt themselves they probably should, right? You just keep that it's not a bad quality. It's like it's just something you have because you care so much. And it's
Yeah.
okay, but you make a decision, like again, you show up. And then I wish that someone had taught me, and I know now, but like initially, that learning never stops. It's a feature. It's something that you're supposed to still be figuring things out. Like that's what keeps you humble. That's what keeps you good. We talked about it in another episode, how we as practitioners and holistic pet health coaches, we keep educating ourselves on topics. It never ends because there's so much to know and to learn. And so I think that is not a sign that, oh my gosh, who am I to do XYZ, right?
Yeah,
So
that's it. That brings a really good point. It just made me think of something with animal communication, because like when I'll admit I still do to this day. When I have a communication, I would say it's a lot shorter time now. I get it anxious before sessions. Am I going to get anything? Am I going to be able to connect?
right.
Is it going to land right on the person? Am I going to give them the message they need? Right? Like, there's these little thoughts that go through my head. Earlier in my practice, they were bigger, they were louder, and another animal communicator had said to me that, like what you just said, it means you care. It really means that you care and you just want to help, right?
Hmm.
Don't look at it as a skill thing. It's not that you're not going to connect. It's not that you're not going to get messages. It's you just care so much. So, like, that's something I would say to people that are doing intuitive work, that are doing energy work and animal communication. That doubt, it can still show up.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're bad at it. It means you care,
Hmm.
because you don't want to get cocky about it, right? Because then
Right.
you're on a different. Then you're a little different. It doesn't mean that if you don't have doubt, you're cocky, right? Like, because
Right.
I have communications where I don't have that anxiety ahead of time,
Hmm.
but when I do, I can still step it out of that and say, like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. This is just jitters, right? It's jitters. It doesn't mean I don't have the skills to be here. So there's a difference too with that. Is it just like I'm nervous because it's a new person, it's a new animal, or is it that I don't have the skills?
Yeah.
We both know we have the skills, and
Right.
if you're a practitioner listening, you have the skills, right? Like, it's just reminding ourselves that.
Yeah, I think, for you and your field especially can be, that can come up, right? The imposter, like, oh my gosh, because it's not a concrete thing. But I think that what you're alluding to is that you have to just remove all the outside noise and tune in to what you're doing and with yourself. And that takes a lot of focus and a lot of talent, right? But you have it. You can communicate. I mean, you've communicated with my animals. I know how talented you are, but it's just like that showing up again, about showing up every single day with, thinking about why we do what we do. That imposter syndrome is going to slowly start to fade away because it's not about that. It's about what we're trying to achieve, what got us so passionate to get into this field in the first place.
Exactly. So, if you are listening and you have had imposter syndrome, or you have imposter syndrome and want to share that with us, we'd love to hear it. We have our next episode is going to be about the money mindset. So that one's another fun business topic.
My favorite. I can't wait. So,
I
yeah.
can't wait either. So thank you so much for listening. And if you like this, please follow. If you can, leave a review, even if it's just marking the 5 stars. It's really easy. You can just go right into the podcast app and click the 5 stars, and it's done. And it helps us so much. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
We appreciate you. Bye.
Bye.
Before we go, we want to remind you that the information shared on the whole pack is for educational purposes only and is not intended to replace veterinary medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult with your veterinarian before making any changes to your pet's diet, supplements, or healthcare routine. Every animal is unique, and what works for one may not be appropriate for another. We're here to empower you with knowledge, but your vet is your partner in your pet's individual care.